And I did my case analysis on the CSR practices of popular ice cream brand Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's started off as a humble ice cream shop in Burlington, Vermont, by best friends Barry Cohen and Jerry Greenfield. Their dream of starting the ice cream shop um, came about with a $5 ice cream course from Penn State University and $12,000 investment. In 2000, the company was acquired by Unilever. Ben and Jerry's founded its mission being on operated to a sustainable corporate concept at Link Prosperity. Prosperity is one of their main missions and visions that the business can continue to grow. But there are three main areas of this mission that are very important to Ben and Jerry's, and that's economic, social, and product. The economic guides their decision making so far as how they conduct business with their employees and how they gain prosperity as a business so far as finances. The social mission guides the decisions that they make so far as how they impact the communities in which they operate in, and how they also make a difference in the lives of other people, especially their local, national, and global stakeholders. And last but not least, the product mission is to ensure good quality ice cream and sustainability in all of their practices, from the make of the ice cream to how it's being sold and distributed. Their key values are influence how they govern business, and those values are human rights and dignity, social economic justice, environmental protection, and restoration and regeneration. These key values are also implemented in their four major areas of business, which is climate, fair trade, and also equity and dairy. So they are very passionate about their values, and their CSR currently is seeing how different ways how they implement these values in all of their practices and all of those areas of business, and also so far as how those decisions impact their environment. So they when they do their CSR, it's not just about how to make money or how to look good. It's actually about how they present themselves as a business, how they do business with other people, how does their business affect their consumers and other stakeholders and investors. So their values go a long way. Two of the areas that this analysis covered is environmental and societal and human rights. These are the two main areas that Ben and Jerry's has been really implemented. New CSR, new initiatives in the recent years. So this analysis goes on to the goods and also the flaws that Ben and Jerry's have done as of last year and in recent years as of 2018 and 2017. So the analysis first is going to look at the environmental. Here are some facts about the recent crisis. In 2018, their social and environmental assessment report does talk about the goals and initiatives they established to combat climate change. In the SERA report, they also talked about the different practices they implement to reduce plastic waste, which in, instead of using plastic, they replace all of their straws and even some of their packaging with paper. Um, Another thing that they have done is they also found ways to cut carbon emissions and also monitor their carbon footprint. And in 2018, unfortunately, the company faced a lawsuit from the Organic Consumers Association, claiming that the company was giving out this false perception that they have really high animal standards so far as how the cows are treated to get the milk to make the ice cream, and also feel that they weren't being truthful so far as advertising that they're working in a clean environment. And the OCA's claim for this was that Ben and Jerry's sourcing was one of the many causes, if not the main cause, of water pollution crisis in the state of Vermont. So as of that lawsuit was filed as of July 2018, and the Organic Consumers Association, they won the first round of the lawsuit in January 2019. So, unfortunately, the SCAR report doesn't include anything about the lawsuit, but it does describe its initiatives. Some of these examples, if I stated, is reducing plastic, also implementing new ideas to improve the Caring Dairy program. Some of those tactics include developing product using lower emissions and renewable resources, um, their cropping initiatives and manure projects for smaller sized farms to ensure that the animals are being treated fairly are in the proper environment. And they also did some international initiatives like freeze fossil fuels and the accelerator and give me more renewables, which all of it was centered around reduce influencing countries, particularly Australia, to be mindful of their carbon footprint and how much greenhouse gases that they're using because of the pact that they made in the climate change back in 20, I believe that was 2015. So the analysis so far as in the environment, their environmental practices, the fact that they never addressed a lawsuit that was against them in the 2018 SEAR report, and they didn't even seem to come up with any initiative addressing the water pollution crisis in their home state of Vermont. So some recommendations was one, to create an initiative that can combat water waste within the company and also help alleviate the water pollution crisis in their whole state of Vermont. This way they can not only be mindful of how they're conducting business, but they're also giving back in the state of which they started in. And they can also expand on their current initiatives. There's nothing wrong with encouraging other countries that they do business in, even stores that they do business here in the United States, of being more sustainable. But there's more tactics that can be applied to not just bring awareness, but to actually produce action on the company and their stakeholders' part. The next area that is being observed is societal and human rights. Ben and Jerry's, because of their values and because human rights and dignity is one of their main values, they put a lot of time and initiative in bringing awareness to human rights and societal and social justice issues that are here in the United States and also globally. Some of the issues that they have brought awareness to in the recent years is systematic racism, the mistreatment in the lives of refugees escaping war and persecution, are also helping former convicted felons to regain voting rights so that they can do their civic duty in America. Some of those initiatives is the Pecan Resist, which was a special it was like considered special branding, and not just branding but actual media coverage and different activities and stuff that they in social media campaigns to increase the urgency and the need for freedom for all people, peace among different people from different backgrounds. And so far as coming together, some of the people that they highlighted in this is the women's rights. They highlighted LGBTQ rights. They also highlighted rights for African Americans. And so far as trying to end racism so that people of minorities can be able to move up in society and to do well. The Poor People's Campaign is specifically, they targeted African American communities, people that are living in poverty. They partnered with the Smithsonian's National African American Museum of History and Culture to put on an exhibit at their home factory in Vermont to show the effects of poverty on African Americans from 1968 and even to now. And so far as the second chances, they had did, I believe, 18 months in the state of Florida, partnering with the nonprofit organizations down there to help convicted felons regain their voting rights. And Together for Refugees is the initiative that they created to bring awareness of the sufferings and the challenges that refugees face coming from war torn countries and countries from persecution to try to move to another country so that they can be able to start their lives over again. Unfortunately, a lot of refugees lost family, left family behind, and when they came to the state, to the not the state, the country that they wanted to live in, they were then being denied employment. They weren't being home, and a lot of them were homeless, especially in Greece and France. Um, though Ben and Jerry's means well with their societal and human rights, unfortunately, they faced some backlash from the Blue Lives Matter movement in 2016. The movement called a boycott against Ben and Jerry's after the company issued a tweet in their support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Around this time in 2016, there was some very controversial shootings. We had Michael Brown, and I believe his name is Arlington, but we have some lost lives to African American men who lost their life in the hands of police officers. And Ben and Jerry's took the opportunity to express their advocacy against systematic racism and the fair treatment of all people, especially African Americans. And unfortunately, this did not sit well with the Blue Lives Matter movement. Their spokesperson, Jackie Jones, um, basically called the boycott because she felt that though Ben and Jerry's was advocating for one thing, they seemed to be supporting of another. During this time, a lot of off-duty police officers were being harassed and disrespected while just going about their day by different citizens who were upset about what was going on so far as the police brutality. And Blue Lives Matter felt that because Ben and Jerry has such a platform, that they should take the platform to encourage people to be respectful to the police officers and to to not condone the approval that the incidents that these police officers were facing at the time. But unfortunately, Ben and Jerry's did not issue any response to this controversy. Although it's been 4 years, they still haven't progressed so far as their area of balancing out their support of one thing so far as systematic racism and also showing their support for law enforcement. So, for the analysis of this area, once again, not responding to the controversy that they faced was not a good look because if you don't respond to it, then it kind of came off as insensitive, which can be damaging to Ben and Jerry's image. But so far as recommendations, we do believe that there was an opportunity for Ben and Jerry's to expand on some of their current campaigns to increase opportunities locally, nationally, also around the world. So one suggestion one recommendation suggested was to expand the Pecan Resist and Poor People's campaign, possibly combining the two together to advocate for bridging the gap between police officers and people of color. Even though those incidents were 4 years ago, there's still a tension and distrust between people living in predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhoods, inner city communities. They do not trust police officers. They don't have a good relationship with them. So Ben and Jerry's can take this opportunity to not only fight systematic racism, but also bringing two worlds together so that it's not like it's one against the other, but it's like it's needed. Law enforcers are needed in communities throughout the whole country. So instead of just saying we're for this, that suggestion will bring two worlds together and actually expand what Ben and Jerry's pretty much tries to convey with their societal and human rights initiatives. Another suggestion recommended is to expand the Second Chance campaign. Now, though there's a lot of convicted felons who are trying to regain their voting rights, however, There are also fines that convicted felons have to pay once they're released from prison. But unfortunately, a lot of convicted felons are left unemployed. They have a hard time finding work and finding a home and basically reestablishing themselves back into society. So instead of helping them just gain their rights, they can also create like some type of program to help the convicted felons receive employment so that they can be able to pay off their fines, and hopefully by them working they're paying off their fines, then in turn they can be able to vote again. And the third and final suggestion is to partner with other international nonprofit organizations, possibly like the International Rescue Committee, to provide homes and jobs for refugees escaping war and persecution. Ben and Jerry's has done very well bringing awareness to the rights that are being violated because of systematic oppression against refugees, but it would mean a lot if the company will also try to fund projects or try to create initiatives to actually help refugees find work and to be able to find a home so that they won't be homeless or jobless. Also, with the second chance, as stated, is not just helping them find jobs, but this is also an opportunity for Ben and Jerry's to improve on some of their internal CSR practices as far as the employees by hiring former convicted felons and also hiring refugees where there's in their stores internationally. So the conclusion, as mentioned, no response equals lack of transparency. Now, though Ben and Jerry's does very well of trying to bring awareness to societal injustices. However, when there's conflict and there's no response, that does not look good on the company. I mean, I do believe every company, every firm should have a plan for crisis or any other type of challenges that may threaten their image among their stakeholders. So we do believe for the conclusion that Ben and Jerry's does need to create some type of crisis plan or create a response to be more transparent in their flaws, because every company means well but they don't do perfect in every area. So just like they were challenged with Blue Lives Matter, and just like they were challenged with Organic Consumers Association, issuing some type of letter or a statement stating that they recognize these faults and that they are going to work to do something with it. Also, they should continue to maintain their involvement with politics, environmental issues, and also with any social injustices. It is very important that firms are involved in our society and what's going on in their stakeholders, but creating new initiatives to address other issues that they normally don't address could be a good way of increasing their transparency and also expanding those current initiatives that they are doing well in to increase their impact. And but overall, the company has very strong values. They mean well. They have good intentions. It's just there's always room for improvement. And just a small update because of COVID 19, their free Cone Day celebration has been postponed, but the company is planning to announce the new date very soon. So that is all for this analysis.